The wisdom that HaKadosh Baruch Hu put into the body and all of his creations is without end.
It's much easier to look at a part of the body that's exposed, as the hand or the foot in particular, and say, that's just a functional part of the body. It would be hard to say, wow. But I can tell you, after spending 24 years seeing thousands upon thousands of patients and thousands upon thousands of feet, that there's a wow every single day.
With all the weight and the different stresses that the body is constantly going through, the foot has a tremendous job to be able to carry one from place to place.
The foot shape. If HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted you to stand, he would have designed something that would be perfect for standing. If you only had to stand, it would have been square and flat. If HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted you to move all the time, he would have designed something for you which would have been round and a pivot, so that it would be most functional and you would never have any difficulty moving. The challenge is that you have to do both. You have to stop and you have to go. And the fact that the terrain that we walk on is always changing. Different angles, different materials, different types of material that we stand on. We need that part of our body to be able to adjust to the demands of that which we're standing on.
There's over 26 muscles inside the foot, layer by layer. There's 4 layers in the foot. There's 107 ligaments. There's many bones, and they don't teach us, if you're looking for numbers, exact numbers to memorize in medical school, but I could count them by just naming every single little bump on the bone has a name. It's an incredible, unbelievable thing. The more that you learn about the foot or any part of the body, it really brings one to be inspired to become closer to Hashem.
The same way it would be difficult for a person to lift this without some form of lever, so too the body embedded within this plantar fascia underneath the first metatarsal joint, which is the joint proximal to the first toe, has two little bones called sesamoids that act as a lever. So you have these 2 small bones that are found underneath that first joint, and therefore you have the ability to increase and decrease the height of the foot.
Believe it or not, the heel is taking many hundreds of pounds of force between ground reactive force and the person's weight, and is able to hold up to huge amounts of punishments, and it can still continue to serve a person.
In a certain way, a foot is like a tire on a car. The car needs to go and stop, and therefore the tire is designed in a way to do both of those opposite functions. The tire is round and the tire has tread. The foot needs the ability to become round. At the same time, the foot needs the ability to become flatter or softer, or the ability to have more friction to slow the person down and to absorb the shock of the body hitting the ground.
Now, for an infected toenail, most of the time, unfortunately, we have to numb the toe. So it's an incredible thing to think about. A nerve, that one of the cutaneous nerves that goes to the toe, has 5 different types of nerve fibers. It's all wound together. We have pain, proprioception, vibratory, temperature. Within the nerve fiber, there's actually 5 different fibers winding together to give a person sensation. Without going into the detail of each one, one of the fibers of those 5 is a pain fiber. Now, it's an incredible thing that when a person has to get a nerve block, usually they're just getting the C fiber, the pain fiber, numbed. Hashem gave us the wisdom, He gave the scientists the wisdom to be able to know just what the chemical is needed just to numb that fiber. And all the other parts of the nerve are working. Now, why should that be? Why should it be that the whole toe is able to work, except now you can't feel pain? So now you see how much we depend on the Chesed Hashem in our work. If that if those anesthesias would not work, we could not do most of the, or almost all of the operations that we do. Local anesthesia is a tremendous matanam and a shamayim, and we're heavily dependent, otherwise we can't do most of the work that we're trying to do to help other people.
One of the most common foot problems I see in my office brought to me by B'nai Torah are consequences secondary to not being active, to sitting in your chair for hours on end. Now, that's a wonderful thing to sit in the base medrash for many, many hours every day. But one of the drawbacks of that structure, which doesn't allow for a lot of physical activity, is the muscles atrophy and some of the muscles actually shorten. And I've had patients come into the office with significant consequences, inability to do what you and I would consider normal function, even walking comfortably, because the muscles in the back of their leg have shortened. If you sit in the chair for a significant period of time on a daily basis, then the muscles in the back of your leg will shrink. Then, when you begin to walk, the angle of your foot to your leg will change because the muscle in the back of your leg, which inserts into your Achilles tendon, which inserts into the back of your heel, now is tight and your foot is on an angle. So every time you take a step, the front of your foot hits the ground a little earlier than it should. If your foot is off just a little bit, then you're going to get the accumulated stress of an imperfect foot function. No different than when you hang a door, if the hinge is not aligned properly and you're off just a millimeter, then every time you open and close the door, that joint of that door is going to wear away. So it's important to think about function in order to appreciate how your foot is going to do the job you're asking it to do.